government, we have a duty to protect the silent majority.
Now the Zimbabwean government takes over fuel imports. Deaths and denials. COSATU adds its voice to the Freya baby death scandal.
The bureaucratic closing of ranks of the National Minister of Health in an attempt to rescue her provincial counterpart.
And carnage at Carnoustie as an Irishman goes for the jugular. Good evening and welcome to the news at 7. The Zimbabwean government has imposed another intervention to stabilize the country. It's set to take over all importation of fuel. This in a bid to harness misappropriation of foreign currency by the country's petroleum sector. Private fuel importers have come under heavy criticism from government, accusing them of making profits to the detriment of the poor. But there are questions whether the state can provide sufficient funds given the scarcity of foreign currency in that country.
The government wants a parastatal, the National Oil Company of Zimbabwe, to take over.
To ask NOGZIM to be the sole importer of fuel so that we direct all the forex in one area to one source so that we avoid duplication and speculative behavior, which was now characteristic of the oil industry.
Criticism, but strongly defended.
We have a duty to protect the silent majority, and we will not stand aside and see them being sacrificed on the altar of greed.
Harare, motorists are pessimistic.
I don't believe in the government.
If the NOGZIM was able to supply the nation with fuel, they must have done that before.
Revived the Zimbabwe State Trading Corporation. The organization would take over companies that it believes are engaging in economic sabotage.
Continue doing business, and government to continue doing government. Running government running business and so forth is, if you look at our parastatals, is not something that we want to go down. We want business to run business, as simple as that. The idea here is let's all run it on one wavelength together and with the right pricing structures.
State's clampdown on businesses was necessitated by companies resorting to inflating prices daily. Supermanduanzira, SABC News, Harare.
The furore over the death of babies at East London's Freya Hospital rages on. COSATU has now entered the fray, accusing Health Minister Manto Shabalala-Msimang of protecting her provincial counterpart.
2,000 babies have reportedly died in the Freya Hospital's notorious maternity section in the past 15 years. The health minister released a report yesterday saying that none of the deaths were because of chronic staff shortages or equipment problems. This flies in the face of an extensive investigation by an Eastern Cape newspaper and the Deputy Health Minister Nozizwe Madlala Rutledge reportedly calling the maternity section a national emergency. The Health MEC Nomsa Jajula also had to explain the deaths and the general state of health services to the provincial ANC. The report found that a shortage of medical staff went to blame for the deaths. Yet it called for urgent staff recruitment. Equipment shortages and faulty equipment went to blame either, but the maintenance budget should be increased by a massive 1,000%. Also that another labor ward be added, 6 faulty incubators be replaced, and additional ones bought, and for other modern equipment to be installed. The report didn't say whether any deaths had been caused by poor infection control measures, yet it called for these measures to be urgently improved. In short, serious problems in maternity, but not responsible for any deaths. The Minister and Premier expressed confidence in the Health MEC. Today, COSATU accused them of closing ranks around the MEC. It is very unfortunate that the report tabled by the Minister of Health
is contradictory in terms of not being able to establish the causes of the deaths of infants in this hospital.
We want to believe that the report presented a real picture of what is obtaining within that institution and areas that needed improvement.
The DA said the report raised more questions than answers and that it would submit questions to Tshabalala Msimang in Parliament to clarify her deputy's comments about Freya's maternity section. Zwandile Ngcivana, SABC News, East London.
The Free State Social Development Department has acknowledged that there are management problems at a Kroonstad Centre for underage awaiting trial prisoners. Shocking conditions at the centre were exposed last week.
Broken windows, unsafe plugs and one blanket per child. It prompted calls from Parliament's Correctional Services Committee for the manager of the Matete Matches Secure Centre to be fired. But it's not going to happen.
I don't think we will fire the manager. Maybe what we are looking at is just shifting the people around, taking the people who are more competent and who, will be most able, or capable to assist us.
It is quite clear that there is a problem with the management. That's why the MEC is reshuffling the management.
The MEC has denied allegations that the centre's been without electricity for the past 2 years.
The children are, vandalizing the electricity there. For what reason, one never knows. But when the plugs are affected, obviously the system will be affected.
The department has promised that electricity will be back on at the end of this month. But with another cold front approaching, these 40 children still face some cold nights. And Bloem says he'll be keeping a close watch on progress. Estie de Klerk, SABC News, Bloemfontein.
For long, Gauteng was spared. Now, frustrations over poor service delivery are also boiling over in the country's richest and best-run province. A few weeks ago, it was an informal settlement outside Lenasia. Today, it was Kliptown in Soweto.
An all too familiar scene. Another protest march turning violent. Several people were injured during a confrontation with the police. They say they're tired of empty promises.
We people from Kliptown are suffering. For close to more than 50 years, we are suffering.
And I think if him, Mr. Masonde, can come around in Kliptown, not to come to the shop and say Kliptown is okay. Kliptown is not okay.
A memorandum was handed over and a housing official promised to report back by Saturday.
The people in Kliptown have a legitimate expectation that says, yes, we can see what is happening on a greater area, but we need to get further assurances on when our process is going to happen. And I think between Joburg and ourselves, insofar as relate to housing, we will be in a position to indicate to them by when is what going to be able to happen on those areas.
14 people were arrested and charged with public violence. They'll appear in court tomorrow. And a survey predicts more protests in Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga and the Northwest. It shows high levels of dissatisfaction with municipal service delivery.
And still to come, as Britain's floodwaters rise to 60-year highs, thousands have no electricity or water after the break.
Follow it. Change it. Trust it. Don't give it away too easily, but put it into everything you do. Get it pumping. Keep your loved ones close to it. Whether it's cold, warm, or made of stone, take good care of it. It's the most important thing you'll ever own.
Daddy!
Babes! I broke the 7-minute barrier!
Fabulous.
The 1.6 Hyundai Accent. Hyundai, one of the top 100 companies on the Fortune Global 500 list.
Not too tight, but now they don't fit me at all. Meet Spot. Heart of gold, top marks. Shepherding skills, 0. So what went wrong? Well, young Spot is 50% Jess and 50% Stan. The lesson? If you want a great companion, Spot's your boy. But if you want to get the job done, don't settle for less than 100%. The new Ford Ranger. 100% truck. Put us to the test. Trelidor. Ultimate crime barrier.
Hello again, you're watching the news at 7 on SABC3. The ANC's national conference could take place in Gauteng as Limpopo battles to meet a logistical deadline. With only months to go to the conference when new leaders will be elected, uncertainty exists around the venue. Today, the ANC's National Working Committee was briefed by the technical committee responsible for organizing the event.
Thousands of ANC delegates were expected to meet here. The plan was to build a new sports complex at the University of Limpopo. But with only months to go, construction has still not taken off. This despite millions of rands being earmarked for the sports complex.
The biggest challenge that we are facing in terms of the completion is time. That is the biggest challenge.
The university maintains that the main sessions were never meant to take place in the new complex.
Our initial preparations and our initial information as we submitted to the African National Congress was that we are going to have the conference in the Maquis. The issue of the sports complex was secondary.
But accommodation is also a problem, both at the university and in Polokwane, where there are few hotels. The last conference took place at the well-resourced Stellenbosch University. For now, Gauteng has emerged as the most likely host province. Wits and Johannesburg universities boast similar facilities to that of Stellenbosch. Finality on the matter is expected over the weekend when the ANC National Executive Committee meets. Taslima Fulgun, SABC News.
The Ekurhuleni Metro says it'll pay the legal costs for its Chief of Police, Robert McBride. A meeting later this week will review and finalize the matter. The Metro says where McBride acted in his official capacity in matters now before the court, he won't have to foot the bill.
McBride is embroiled in 3 court cases. He's facing charges of drunken driving, defeating the ends of justice and fraud. This case will resume in November. Tomorrow, his legal team is expected to formally oppose a restraining order granted to 3 suspended Metro officers earlier this month. The 3 claim to have been at the accident scene in December, where McBride rolled his car and allegedly instructed them to clear the scene and take him away. In police statements, they further alleged McBride had been drunk. They say they were suspended, harassed and intimidated after making these statements. But their alleged involvement in cash heists is being raised as a counter-reason.
After the investigation. But I just want to emphasize again, I suspended them, not the Chief of Police. But what charges are we talking about? No, related to the cars, involved in stealing of cars. It involved issues of cash and transit heist and so on, all those issues that the Chief of Police indicated. And this is information that we got from the DA's whistleblower.
McBride also suing a daily newspaper.
To deal with the issue of the citizen, that will come out of his own pocket.